The Breadwinner Chapter 2. Mother and Noria were cleaning again. Father kissed Ali and Miriam, went to the bathroom to wash the dust off his feet, face, and hands, then stretched out on a toe shack for a rest. Parvana put down her bundles and started to take off her chador. "We need water," Noria said. "Can't I sit down for a while first?" Parvana asked her mother. "You will rest better when your work is done. Now go. The water tank is almost empty." Parvana groaned. If the tank was almost empty, she'd have to make 5 trips to the water tap. 6, because her mother hated to see an empty water bucket. "If you'd fetched it yesterday when Mother asked you, you wouldn't have so much to haul today," Noria said as Parvana passed by her to get to the water bucket. Noria smiled her superior big sister smile and flipped her hair back over her shoulders. Parvana wanted to kick her. Noria had beautiful hair, long and thick. Parvana's hair was thin and stringy. She wanted hair like her sister's, and Noria knew this. Parvana grumbled all the way down the steps and down the block to the neighborhood tap. The trip home with a full bucket was worse, especially the 3 flights of stairs. Being angry at Noria gave her the energy to do it, so Parvana kept grumbling. "Noria never goes for water, nor does Mother. Miriam doesn't either. She doesn't have to do anything." Parvana knew she was mumbling nonsense, but she kept it up anyway. Miriam was only 5, and she couldn't carry an empty bucket downstairs, let alone a full bucket upstairs. Mother and Noria had to wear burqas whenever they went outside, and they couldn't carry a pail of water up those uneven, broken stairs if they were wearing burqas. Plus, it was dangerous for women to go outside without a man. Parvana knew she had to fetch the water because there was nobody else in the family who could do it. Sometimes this made her resentful. Sometimes it made her proud. One thing she knew: it didn't matter how she felt. Good mood or bad, the water had to be fetched, and she had to fetch it. Finally, the tank was full, the water bucket was full, and Parvana could slip off her sandals, hang up her chador, and relax. She sat on the floor beside Miriam and watched her little sister draw a picture. "You're very talented, Miriam. One day, you will sell your drawings for tons and tons of money. We will be very rich and live in a palace, and you will wear blue silk dresses." "Green silk," Miriam said. "Green silk," Parvana agreed. "Instead of just sitting there, you could help us over here." Mother and Noria were cleaning out the cupboard again. "You cleaned out the cupboard 3 days ago." "Are you going to help us or not?" Not, Parvana thought, but she got to her feet. Mother and Noria were always cleaning something. Since they couldn't work or go to school, they didn't have much else to do. "The Taliban have said we must stay inside, but that doesn't mean we have to live in filth," Mother was fond of saying. Parvana hated all that cleaning. It used up the water she had to haul. The only thing worse was for Noria to wash her hair. Parvana looked around their tiny room. All of the furniture she remembered from their other houses had been destroyed by bombs or stolen by looters. All they had now was a tall wooden cupboard, which had been in the room when they rented it. It held the few belongings they had been able to save. 2 toe shacks were set against the walls, and that was all the furniture they had. They used to have beautiful Afghan carpets. Parvana remembered tracing the intricate patterns of them with her fingers when she was younger. Now there was just cheap matting over the cement floor. Parvana could cross their main room with 10 regular steps one way and 12 regular steps the other way. It was usually her job to sweep the mat with their tiny whisk broom. She knew every inch of it. At the end of the room was the lavatory. It was a very small room with a platform toilet, not the modern Western toilet they used to have. The tiny propane cook stove was kept in there because a tiny vent high in the wall kept fresh air coming into the room. The water tank was there too, a metal drum that held 5 pails of water, and the wash basin was next to that. Other people lived in the part of the building that was still standing. Parvana saw them as she went to fetch water or went out with her father to the marketplace. We must keep our distance, Father told her. The Taliban encourage neighbor to spy on neighbor. It is safer to keep to ourselves. It may have been safer, Parvana often thought, but it was also lonely. Maybe there was another girl her age, right close by, but she'd never find out. Father had his books. Mariam played with Ali. Noria had Mother, but Parvana didn't have anybody. Mother and Noria had wiped down the cupboard shelves. Now they were putting things back. Here is a pile of things for your father to sell in the market. Put them by the door, Mother directed her. The vibrant red cloth caught Parvana's eye. My good shalwar kameez! We can't sell that! I decide what we're going to sell, not you. There's no longer any use for it, unless you're planning to go to parties you haven't bothered to tell me about. Parvana knew there was no point arguing. Ever since she had been forced out of her job, Mother's temper grew shorter every day. Parvana put the outfit with the other items by the door. She ran her fingers over the intricate embroidery. It had been an Eid present from her aunt in Mazar-e-Sharif, a city in the north of Afghanistan. She hoped her aunt would be angry at her mother for selling it. Why don't we sell Noria's good clothes? She's not going anywhere. She'll need them when she gets married. Noria made a superior sort of face at Parvana. As an extra insult, she tossed her head to make her long hair swing. I pity whoever marries you, Parvana said. He will be getting a stuck-up snob for a wife. That's enough, Mother said. Parvana fumed. Mother always took Noria's side. Parvana hated Noria. She hated her mother, too, if she wasn't her mother. Her anger melted when she saw her mother pick up the parcel of Hussein's clothes and put it away on the top shelf of the cupboard. Her mother always looked sad when she touched Hussein's clothes. Noria hadn't always been the oldest. Hussein had been the oldest child. He had been killed by a landmine when he was 14 years old. Mother and Father never talked about him. To remember him was too painful. Noria had told Parvana about him during one of the rare times they were talking to each other. Hussein had laughed a lot and was always trying to get Noria to play games with him, even though she was a girl. Don't be such a princess, he'd say. A little football will do you good. Sometimes, Noria said, she'd give in and play, and Hussein would always kick the ball to her in a way that she could stop it and kick it back. He used to pick you up and play with you a lot, Noria told Parvana. He actually seemed to like you. Imagine that! From Noria's stories, Hussein sounded like someone Parvana would have liked too. Seeing the pain in her mother's face, Parvana put her anger away and quietly helped get supper ready. The family ate Afghan style, sitting around a plastic cloth spread out on the floor. Food cheered everyone up, and the family lingered after the meal was over. At some point, Parvana knew a secret signal would pass between her mother and Noria, and the two of them would rise at the same instant to begin clearing up. Parvana had no idea how they did it. She would watch for a sign to go between the two of them, but she could never see one. Ali was dozing on Mother's lap, a piece of naan in his little fist. Every now and then he would realize he was falling asleep and would rouse himself, as if he hated the thought of missing something. He'd try to get up, but Mother held him quite firmly. After wiggling for a moment, he'd give up and doze off again. Father, looking rested after his nap, had changed into his good white shalwar kameez. His long beard was neatly combed. Parvana thought he looked very handsome. When the Taliban first came and ordered all men to grow beards, Parvana had a hard time getting used to her father's face. He had never worn a beard before.